Please raise your hand if you have any questions. First question comes from Mike Vorkanoff, The Athletic.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
Hey, Mike, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I guess I'll ask with the inevitable question, considering we're a day out from the start of your preseason. Do you have an idea yet of what your starters will be and where you're leaning?
Not really. We've been mixing and matching, and we're still evaluating. So I'm going to meet with the coaches, and then, obviously there'll be a larger rotation in this first game. But we'll use all 4 preseason games and probably some games into the regular season as well before we settle on a final rotation. But we're mixing and matching right now, so we'll see how it unfolds.
Greg Joyce, New York Post.
Hey, Tom, are there 1 or 2 main areas that you're looking to see how things go tomorrow night, or what are you hoping to accomplish with this first game?
Well, I think any first game, particularly with the preseason, it gives you a baseline, and it lets you know exactly where you are. And you're going against a different opponent, obviously, when you're scrimmaging and you're playing against your teammate. It's a little different. So, and as much as we try to replicate the intensity of a game, we know we can never quite get there. So it'll be a good measure to let us know where we are conditioning-wise, and where we are in terms of execution, and if we can take some of the things that we've been working on and carry them over into a game. And of course, even a preseason game it's not quite as intense as a regular season game. There's different levels of intensity, but it'll give us a chance to really evaluate.
Steve Popper, Newsday.
Hey, Tom. When you talk about who you're starting or not, is there a sense of you'll hold some guys out one game, use guys more minutes in another?
Yeah, that's sort of what we're looking at. I think that there's a lot of moving parts, obviously, to the season, and so we'll take a look at the initial rotation, but we're anticipating we don't really have an idea in terms of some guys are further ahead conditioning wise than others, and then of course if you have injury or we have an issue with COVID that you're going to probably need your whole roster. So we want to make sure everyone's ready. We'll settle on 9 or 10 men to start, and then with the understanding that we'll be using everyone over the course of the year.
Steph Bondi, Daily News.
Hey, Coach, I just wanted to check on Austin Rivers' availability for tomorrow, and if there were any other injuries, updates, or anything like that.
Yeah, I think in regards to Austin, he does a little more each day, but we want to take it slow. We want him to be completely healthy before we move forward, so there's different steps. And yeah, obviously there's a long layoff involved, and then there's he's not at the point where he can take on contact yet, so he's doing non-contact, and the next phase will be the contact, and of course the conditioning is a big concern as well. But he's been around, and he has a good understanding of what he needs to do to get ready to play.
Mike Vorkanoff, The Athletic.
With the condensed nature of training camp starting so soon after the draft and all these things, is there been anything that you haven't been able to do because of the schedule or because of the COVID regulations that you usually would like to do with a team, especially a new team?
Yeah, I think we're all challenged in the same way in terms of COVID and the different protocols, and I think obviously everyone's very concerned about it, so you try to follow the protocols as best you can, and it does limit you in some ways, but it's necessary and it's important. but every team is faced with the same issues. So it's how quickly can we adapt to all the changes, and that's what we're trying to do. And we know we're not going to skip over anything. So each day we'll continue to work as hard as we can and try to improve.
We have time for 2 more questions. Next one comes from Greg Joyce of the New York Post.
Taking the first road trip, how are you feeling about all the precautions in place? And are you guys taking any special protocols first time hitting the road?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a number of meetings regarding all the different protocols. That it's safety has to come first, and so we're also aware of what's going on in the country. So it is concerning, and if we have to take whatever extra precautions we have to take, we will. And so we'll be in on an airplane, we'll be in a hotel, but the league has really been on top of it. And on top of the league, I think MSG has gone beyond what the league has required us to do. And so for the entire organization, the safety part will come first.
And our last question comes from Steph Bondi, Daily News.
Hey, Tom. When you say there were different levels of conditioning and all that, was there one player you in particular that you were very impressed with coming into camp with his conditioning?
Well, for young guys, our 2 young guys obviously they have a lot to learn, but in terms of commitment and conditioning, they're really, really impressive. And then I would say the vet that probably has stood out the most, well, actually 2, I would say Julius is in great shape, and Kevin Knox is in really good shape as well.